on, move, Skippy. There he goes. So this thing behind me, I like to call a Drought Breaker, because guaranteed, if it's a beautiful sunny day and you pull this out of the shed, that will quickly change. As you can well see, it was a beautiful sunny day about an hour ago. Now it's windy and horrible, but no matter. I actually have something in the shed to play with instead that I think some viewers might get a bit of a kick out of. And of course, here's the rain to wash all the chemical off I just put out. Who'd be a farmer? So when I'm not working on old Volkswagens or farm machinery, one of my other hobbies that I've never really given any YouTube airtime is mucking around with old lawn mowers. I have actually made videos in the past, but it didn't seem like a subject that would get much interest, so those videos are still sitting on the cutting room floor. But if this one gains enough enthusiasm, I might upload some of my older ones. Anyway, this Victa Sprinter here I saved from the scrap heap a few months ago. So it was a very lovely lady I picked this up from, but she did strike me as the type of person who just buys something like this, will use it with no maintenance, and then when it stops working, just go and buy another one. She said one day it just wouldn't start, so picked up another mower, and that one will probably have a similar fate to this. I have not looked at this at all other than making sure it did turn over, which it does just fine, so the vital signs are good. Just need to investigate a few other things, but all the classic signs of neglect are there. Have a very rusty deck full of holes, worn out wobbly wheels, and a loose handle, but you just can't kill the classic old Briggs & Stratton side valve motors. And that's all I'm really concerned about with this. Plonking it onto another deck is easy enough. So despite appearances, it's not actually a very old mower. It is manufactured in September 2012. So 8 years old nearly, but I'm sure we'll bring it back to life. But one of the biggest killers of these mowers is, and I'll bet this is the same, yes it is, instead of a round cutting disc with individual blades, these typically have those one solid blades like that. And if you hit a rock or something, quite often it will bend the crankshaft of the motor and they end up vibrating themselves to bits. So one easy way to check for a bent crank is to take a marker of some sort, hold it in one spot, check where one blade tip sits, rotate the engine and check the other, and this one is exactly the same on both sides. Quite often with a bent crank you'll see a big difference, but it's not a surefire way, as that can be just a bent blade too. So I don't think the oil in this has been checked for a while, because I just went to pop the dipstick out and it's actually, I can't get it out because it's hitting on the shroud. Oh, there we go. I'll have to clean that up and have a look, but the oil is surprisingly clean. So it's a little bit low, but certainly not down to the add mark, and as you can see it is fairly clean, so if I can get the fire up we'll get that changed. Next up I'll check on the spark plug. Which to me looks like maybe the original. It's very wet. Probably because I've had it tipped over though, but see by the black overspray on it, where it's gone through the gap there, that's the original spark plugs. It still has the factory black paint on it, so that's never been replaced before. That's actually petrol on it, not oil, so give that a clean up. So I've just given that a quick clean up with the wire brush, and we'll just check the gap on it. 30 thou with these. Actually a little bit big, so that's a loose fit, so I'll give that a little bit of a close up. Alright, so with the throttle off the stop setting, just set to run. Find out now if it's got any spark. No idea if that was showing up on camera, but spark is not amazing, but strong enough it'll run. Oh wow, you can see how the throat of the carby's clean, but very caked up with crap on the outside. And there's probably definitely our no start problem. Those holes there are our air intake, completely caked up with crud. I'll make a bet that if I clean this out properly, it'll probably start. It does have fuel in it. Colour's not very amazing, so I'll tip that out too. Can't get over how bad this air filter is. Look at that. No wonder the poor thing wouldn't run. So give that a clean up. I'll actually buy a replacement for it if it does run properly. So in the process of washing this out, you can see it just disintegrated. Be the original 2012 one, no doubt. These are meant to be replaced, I think, every couple of years or so, might even be yearly, but just for the purpose of seeing if this will run, we'll pinch one off my other mower. So next up, I just want to blow all the crap off this, just make sure our governor springs are working okay. So I've just grabbed the air filter off my other mower with the same engine. Just this one will probably disintegrate and get sucked through, but pick up a new one from Bunnings. I've given the carby linkage a good blow off there, cleaned it all out, and I just tipped the fuel out for obvious reasons. That great big black chunk fell in when I tipped it, but it does smell pretty stale. These Briggs motors will run on pretty much anything, and it probably would fire on that, but I don't want to pull too much rubbish through the carb. Alright, so with a fresh gut of fuel in and my other Briggs's air filter, moment of truth, we'll see if it kicks over, and if it does, I'll just run it for a couple of minutes, get that oil nice and warm so I can change it over. Almost. Nearly. Burning off a bit of oil in the cylinder, I think. Should be right once it clears that out. Got a lot of oil running out of the muffler, but you can see the actual exhaust itself is just burning it off. It's not the motor. She's cleared her throat pretty well now, just giving the occasional spit. Don't know how much trash is in that fuel tank, but we'll shut her down in a sec and give it, suck all that oil out. Spring's obviously a bit dodgy in it. And here comes the rain again. Yeah, so she's purring like a little kitten, just the occasional spit, I'd say. Wants a new spark plug in it, but that's why I love these Briggs & Stratton motors. They just thrive on neglect and keep going. So while that's nice and warm now, I'll got my oil change kit out. I always used to do oil changes the old-fashioned way of tipping it up and draining it out there, but these suction bottles just make it so clean and easy. Got a occasional high-end miss. I'd say a new plug will fix that, but still cuts the lawn like a champion. So I have picked up a new air filter element for it. That'll just need oiling before it's installed. And I will also get a new spark plug for it. But other than that, cuts like a little champ. Just goes to show sometimes one person's trash is actually another's treasure. So just looking on the Briggs & Stratton website, the interval to replace the filter is actually every 3 months or 25 hours, which is a bit ridiculous if you ask me. Mine have lasted several years. As you can see though, this one is well and truly past its use by, but a lot of people don't realise these do need oiling. And the instructions are on the Briggs & Stratton website. Basically just soak it in oil and squeeze out the excess.